this video we are going to make sure that we can right click on the items to equip them on our character panel here. So when we have the items, we should be able to right click on them and they will pop onto the character panel by themselves. And of course, if there is an item already, it should swap places with that item. So there's a few things we need to do. Another thing I would like to do is to rename some of these. I took a look at other RPGs and how they did it, and basically the slots we're using are based on the placement on the body. So helmet would be renamed to head, and shoulders fine. Gloves would be renamed to hands, and pants would be renamed to legs, and boots would be renamed to feet. So it's basically where you're placing it on the body. Yeah, it's fine. Armor type, it could be armor placement instead, but let's just leave it at armor type. And then again, if we go to the items themselves, this rename is not something you need to do. I'm just going to show you that I'm going to do that, so you don't get confused later when you see those. And the armor itself is named after what the armor is. So boots is not feet, it's boot, but it is, the armor type is feet, for example. So that's how I did it. So you can name it exactly as you want. I just want to show you real quick that I renamed all these. So the first thing we have to script is to go to our scripts and find our UI related and find the character panel. So the character panel needs a little more functionality now that we should be able to right click and equip something. So we're going to make a new function and we're going to call it equip armor. And this equip armor needs to take in a piece of armor it needs to equip, like that. And we need to switch based on the armor type, so we know where to place it. So we're going to make a switch on the armor dot my armor type. There we go. So this is where we can place things. Two-hand is not used at the moment, so just delete two-hand. We will add it later. You can also just leave it, doesn't matter. And then we say we need to equip something. Okay, so the character panel needs a reference to all the item slots here. So first of all, we need to go up here and make not a list, but just let's make private share button, and we need to make a variable for each each slot. So we have a head slot, we have a shoulder slot, we have a chest slot, we have hands, we have legs, we have feet, we have main, and we have offhand. There we go. So all these should be referencing the slots out there on our character panel. So when we equip something, we can take the head slot and equip it there. So we need to serialize these and save. When we've serialized it, we can actually go back here and select our canvas that's here and character panel, and now you can see all the slots here. So based on this, we have to put the head on the head, shoulders on shoulders, chest on chest. Gloves should be named hands. Take hands and put it on here, and this one should be legs. So we take the legs and put them there, and the last one should be feet, right there. Then we have our main and offhand. They are on the weapons. We should have something called main hand, and we have our offhand there. So now our character script has a reference to each slot, so it can equip them correctly. So with this setup, we can go down here and we can say, well, if our armor type wants to equip, if that's a head slot, then we say shoulder head dot equip armor. What do we want to equip? We want to equip the armor right there, just like that. There we go. Okay, so now we can equip the head armor. We can do the same for shoulders, chest, hands, legs, feet, main, and offhand. The only thing we need to change here is the item type, or the slot. This is our shoulders, this is our chest, this is going to be our hands, this is going to be our legs, this is the feet, and then we have our main hand and our offhand. There we go. So now we have a function that can equip a piece of armor on any of these slots based on the armor type we are trying to equip. Okay, so we didn't need this before because we just put it on the correct slot. Now we need to figure out what slot we need to put it on. So where do we call this functionality from? Well, remember, when we have a potion or a bag, we can just right click on it to use the potion or right click on it to equip the bag. It's kind of the same here. However, we cannot make our armors usable, because if they are usable, they will be equipable on our action bar, and we don't want to be able to put a head item on the action bar, for example, because it has no use functionality. It's just you can just equip it. So we have to go to the slot script, because it's inside the slot script that we are actually using these. So let's see, inventory slot script, there we go. So right down here somewhere, let's see, we have something called use item somewhere there. Here, this function here is executed when you right click on an item. So if the item is usable, then we try to use it. Then we can make an else if statement. Oops, else if. So if my item, the item that is on the slot, at this point it could be a head item or something. So if my item is armor, so if the item I'm trying to right click on is armor, well, then we can equip it. So let's try to say debug.log, this is armor, and I can equip it. Okay. So let's try to save this. So we already set all this up. This right click here, this one will be called by a right click. If we go to it and find our references, remember we have a use item right here, and it's going to be called if we right click on something. Okay, so we already set that up way earlier. Let's try here. We open up our inventory. If we want to run, press H button, have all these items. I right click on item. This is armor, and I can equip it. Okay, so when we right click on an armor now, it's written in the console, so we can actually identify if we're right clicking on a piece of armor. So that's good. So what do we really need to do? Well, we need to equip the armor. And how do we do that? Well, we can actually just add a function for our what's it called, our armor, so we can equip it. Let's go to our armor here and go all the way to the bottom and make a new function called equip. Not on enable, just equip. So this function here is used for equipping the armor. So how do we call that? We can just say debug.log equip. Okay. So this is just the first step. So now we're equipping it. How do we call this? We go back to the slot script. Instead of just debugging.logging here, we say my item as armor, like this, just as we do up here, and then we say equip. So let's see if that works. Oop, did I misspell it? Yeah, I misspelled it out here. Sorry about that. Just right click on it, rename, equip, like that. Okay, so now we have an equip function, so it would still work when I play the game. I right click on armor, it should write the new debug.log we have, equip, there we go. So how do we equip it? Well, we need to use the character panel. As you can see, the character panel has a function called equip armor, and we can just pass in the armor to equip it on the right slot. The thing is, we could make a reference on each of these slots to the character panel, but that will be very redundant because we have lots of slots and they all need a reference to this character panel if that's the case. So instead, we can just make it into a singleton, make a private character panel, private static character panel, panel, this is the instance, and then just make this get function for it, or get property. So if our instance is no, then we say instance equals game object dot game object dot find object of type character panel. There we go. And then return the instance. Let's rename this one to my instance. So now that we have made it into a singleton, we can go back to the armor and say character panel dot equip my instance dot equip armor, and pass in this armor we want to equip. and let's save. So now we are taking the character panel, we are equipping this armor, and this is the armor we're right clicking on, of course. So let's try, press H, let's see here, and we right click on sword, it's there, helmet, gloves, and all that. So now we can equip the armor by right clicking, but there is a problem. As you can see, the armor is still in the inventory, and that's a problem because now I have everything equipped, and I can just go to my vendor and sell everything, even though I have it on. And then I can just dequip these again, maybe later when we have dequipping, and then I can just equip them again and then copy the items one more time, so I can just get unlimited items, and that's not what we want. So why is it not removed? Because we already added functionality for whenever we pick something up like that and do like that, it's removed from the inventory. So why didn't it work when I right click? Well, the reason that it doesn't work when I right click is because that we are just removing whatever we have in our hand. If you look inside the character button script, let's just close all of this and then open up our character panels. We have these two. As you can see, it only deletes what's in my hand. And I'm not interested in that because I have nothing in my hand when I right click on the item. So this line of code here doesn't work because it takes my hand item and deletes it. So what do we have to do to fix it? Well, first of all, we have to use the drop function instead of the delete item function. If we go to the hand script, we have a delete function, which we're using whenever we click something somewhere outside the inventory to drop the item. And we also have a drop function, which is called by the delete function. And this one just hides the carry around item. So it just hides the item that we are carrying in our hand, right? So we need to use the drop function. Let's try that. Go down here inside the char button function or script and write drop instead. Okay, so now we're using drop. Let's see what happens. If we play the game now and we press H, we take the sword and equip it, well, then the sword still stays here. It's still on the slot here. So there is one problem there, because now we just broke some functionality we had before that worked. So what do we need to do? Well, besides this, we will also need to delete the item when we equip it, or remove it from the inventory at least when we equip it. So how do we do that? Well, remember, each item has a remove function on it. Item, if we go to there, I think it has a remove there. It has a remove function that removes itself from the slot. So we can actually use that inside our char button. So the first thing we're doing is saying armor.remove, which means it removes itself from the inventory. Another thing is the fact we don't need to drop anything from the hand script if we can't see it already. So just make sure if our hand script dot my instance dot my movable, if the movable in the hand is armor si movable, so this basically states we only want to drop the hand script or drop the item in the hand if it's the armor we are having in our, if it's an armor we're trying to equip. Okay, so this prevents us from having one item in the hand and then we right click on it and then it drops whatever I had in the hand because I right click on an armor in the inventory. So to prevent this, we do this line, and this will make sure that we can carry around a potion in the hand, and if we right click on an armor, it will keep the potion in the hand and then equip the armor even though we have a potion in our hand and the potion is still in the hand. So we don't get any weird drops with items because we are right clicking when carrying something else around. This just makes sure that the movable we have in the hand is the same as the armor we're trying to equip. And then we drop the script. So let's see what happens now. Start it up, press H. I can right click on helmet and it disappears and it's all the way over here. I can take the sword and pick it up and put it in here and it also disappears from the inventory. So now you saw a bug here, right? If I pick up the shoulders, put them right there and click on the shoulders again here, I just place them back into the inventory. And I think I might be able to pick up the pants, put them there. Okay, I can't click anywhere else. I can click on the same slot to equip them, maybe. I don't know if I can. There we go. Okay. So if I simply just equip something and click right back onto the same slot, I can recreate them there. So why is that? Well, that's because we're never setting our from slot to null. So we need to do that when we drop the item. So we can go to the character panel, hand script, right here and drop. We need to say from slot of course it's on the inventory script. Inventory script dot my instance dot from slot is null. So we need to make sure the from slot is set to null whenever we equip something, so we can't do that thing to duplicate. Let's try one more time. See if I open this and I press H, take the shoulders, equip them there, and I click on the place where the shoulders were before, then I can't recreate them. I can still take other things and equip them like this, and I can right click on them to equip them as well, and then disappear down here from the inventory. And there's no problem for me to put items on the slots where they were before. Okay. So now we can right click to equip stuff. There's still some things we need to do. We need to go to the char button and make sure that our tooltip disappears, because if you look at it here, if I right click on the sword, the tooltip is still there after I equip the sword, and it should disappear now because there's no sword here where my mouse is. So I need to do like this to move it outside the box here to make the tooltip disappear, and that's not very cool. I want to make sure it disappears right away. How do we do that? Well, we have something called armor and armor here. Just not to confuse this one and this one, I'm going to go up here and rename this armor up here to equipped armor, just to make sure I don't confuse the new armor I want to equip with the equipped one. So how do we make sure the tooltip needs to disappear? Well, first of all, the tooltip doesn't need to disappear if we swap something. Let's say we have two helmets, one is equipped, one is in the back. If I right click on the one in the back, they should swap places. In that case, I don't want the tooltip to disappear. I just want the tooltip to refresh so that it has the new information instead, if you can follow me there. So I hope you understand that, because we need to do that now. We need to say if our equipped armor isn't null. So if our equipped armor isn't null, then we say armor dot my slot. Oh wait, let's wait with that one. Let's just do like this. Let's try to make the tooltip disappear first. So we say UI manager down here dot my instance dot hide tooltip. Okay. So then I'm hiding the tooltip when I right click on something. Let's try. So playing the game, press H, I right click on sword, and the tooltip is gone. Okay. So that's exactly what we wanted. But let's say that we have two helmets. Let's try to create another helmet. Let's go to our prefabs inventory items here. Go to armor. Let's try to duplicate the helmet here and call one helmet 0, 1, and the other one helmet 0, 2 or something. Now we have two helmets. 0, 2 is called great helmet instead, and it's just a rare item with 10 intellect, 2 strength, and 4 stamina instead. Okay, so these are the stats for the helmet number 2. So let's see if we can spawn it. Let's try to go to character panel. Let's add one more. Where do we have it? It's on the inventory, of course. Let's just add one more here. And let's put it on the 10th slot. So I can go down here, open up my inventory script, and find the place where I'm spawning these items, right there. And then spawn number 10 as well. There we go. Now we try to spawn number 10. Okay. So if I play this spawn, there's two helmets. I have a great and an awesome helmet. I right click on great. It's right there. This one is awesome. I right click and it disappears. And I don't know which one this is, right? It should be the latest one I equipped. So I need to make some functionality so these two swap places instead of just deleting one item. So let's try to do that. It's actually very simple to do it. We need to open up our UI manager. Where is it? UI related. It's not a manager, suppose. And then we need to make a new function. It's just going to be called refresh tooltip. I spelled that correctly, I think. For now, just keep in mind we have this function here because we need to swap them first so you can see how it works. Let's see here, we have the character button. So we need to do a swap here. How do you do a swap? See armor dot my slot. This is the armor we're trying to equip. We need to know what slot it comes from, and we need to add the item from the equipped armor. Okay, so is this confusing? Maybe. Oh, that add item. There we go. So what are we doing? Well, we are equipping a new slot, a new piece of armor. That armor has a reference to the slot it's sitting on, right? So if it's equipped, or let's see here. Let's play. It's a little slow playing. Sorry about that. There. Say we equip this helmet and I want to equip this one. Well, this helmet here, right there, has a reference to the slot here it was sitting on. It has a reference to that. So we are using that reference to check, well, do we have an equipped armor already? Well, we do. If that's the case, then we say armor.myslot.add item equipped armor. Then we take the item we have up here and put it down here. So we just removed this one and took the armor we already had and put it down there. And with that done, we already removed it. They should be swapped right now. So let's try. I'm not sure if I saved before I did this, so let's just try to rerun the game. There we go. We have a helmet there. And now if I right click, you didn't see anything, but it's an awesome helmet that is right there. If I right click again, go away with the mouse and back, it's a great helmet. So you can see they are actually swapping places, but I have to take the mouse away all the time just to make sure that I did the swap. So we need to do a refresh of the tooltip to make sure that it works right away. And the refresh tooltip function is right there in the UI manager, and simply, it's very simple. We say tooltip text.text is equal to, well, what do we have up here? When we show the tooltip, we take in a position and we take a description. Well, we actually don't need a position right now because when we refresh the tooltip, we expect it to be on the same position as just before. So we just need a description right there. So we can say description.getDescription. And that means I can go back to the character button. And inside the character button, I should be able to get the description by simply saying up there. UI manager dot my instance dot refresh tooltip equipped armor. So I'm refreshing the tooltip with the armor I just had equipped before because it must go on that button I have my mouse over. Let's try. Press the H button, equip awesome helmet. And now you can see every time I right click, I'm swapping these two helmets out. So now I can actually swap items around by right clicking on. If I have two equal items, it will simply just swap them around. Of course, there goes way more into it. We need to be able to see tooltips up here. We need to be able to click on these and de-equip them and make sure that it still works when we right click on something else and such. There are a few things we need to fix still, but this is like the first steps of creating a character panel that works. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't too long. There was a lot of things I wanted to cover just so we can be set up for the next video. So thanks for sticking in there and thanks for watching. Thanks for watching my video. Please remember that InScope Studios is a community founded page, so please consider clicking the support link on the screen to see how you can support me and get something back in return.